Okay guys, welcome back. So let's carry on with our menu. We'll continue to build it together. And let's just have a look at what we did in the last class. So let's push play. So we added the buttons and the color changing option on there as well when we hover over them. We also added the animations and the resolution submenu here, okay, with the check boxes. But then we came across that little problem, didn't we? That bug in our menu when, as you see here, they're clashing, okay, with the resolution button. So when I push the lower button options down here, they overlap, right? So they're brought back up to their initial positions too soon. So we're going to correct that. Let's go to the graph. And what we'll have to do, well, we could approach it in two ways. So for us to fix the overlap, let's start with the instruction button. In our design, the start button's fine. The resolution button's fine. But we find the problems from the instruction button down, right? Because when I open the resolution button, it pushes the other ones down. So we need to work on the instructions and the about and the exit button. And there's an issue with the about button too. When we click to open it, there's a bug on the exit button as well. So we'll have a look at all of those issues. Let's do that together. Let's start with the instructions. Let's understand what we have here. So we have a function and event that as I mouse over the button, it pushes the text 20 pixels to the right. And as I mouse over the instructions button, it moves the text 20 pixels to the right as well. However, as I open the resolution submenu here, my instruction button is already 120 pixels pointing down. So let's remember our resolution button. Okay, so for the open resolution, we've moved 120 pixels down. So now we'll have to create a condition here. So the first scenario is conventional. When the resolution submenu is closed, so this would remain true. And when the resolution menu is open, it will have to execute another condition so that we don't have that bug where it's overlapping, okay? So we'll create two scenarios for one condition. Now, what would they be? Well, when the resolution menu is open or closed, that's what the condition is going to be, okay? So why create this variable? Well, the resolution here pressed. Why create that? But when I click on open event, my variable registers it open as true. When it's closed, it goes back to its initial position as false. So I need to create a branch, a condition here with this variable. Right. Now let's see this in practice. And I'll explain the details as we go along. Just create some space here. Okay. So I'll create a conditional scenario here. When I click the button, so it will ask me a question, and depending on the answer, it will go one way or the other. I'll create a branch here, okay? So what's my condition? If my resolution menu is open or closed, okay, that's the condition. Let's get the resolution pressed here. So when my resolution menu is open, it will follow the true path. When it's closed, it will go to the false path. And I can replicate this over here. So there'll be two ways. We have the same instructions, but the difference is which way it will follow. So let's work on the false condition to begin with. So false is the condition that we had already set up. So on false, it will move my text about 20 pixels to the right. And it will also play the sound as well. So I can also link these directly. Now, there's no problem in connecting these two because they're separate conditions. It will either come this way or this way, but the end is going to be the same. And now I need to set up the condition in case this is true. So this part is quite simple. I already have this set up to 20. It will move 20 pixels to the right. However, it will move 120 pixels down, which is what's happening here. Okay, the same. So in this condition, it will slide to the side and then down. Since I don't have a gradual movement, it'll practically like it kind of like flickers from one side to the other. But our brain identifies the movement, but it's actually just changing position. Okay, so this will provide the same effect in essence. So let's test this and see how it looks. Okay, so this is the condition. Resolution menu is closed. So the condition is working regularly. If I open it, look, now there's the bug here. So we'll correct that. But you can see that it's kind of identifying it though, right? So let's do it again. I'll open the resolution, go to the instructions. Instructions looks good, but as I release it, it goes back to the wrong place. So why is that? Well, it's because I've created a branch on unhovered, so which is the same situation. So when it's pressed, it can't go back to its initial position at 0. It should go back to its initial position at 0, 120, which is this one here, right? In our resolution menu. Okay. So let's do this for unhovered. Let's place it here. So this is the true one. Okay. And this is the false one. So I'll duplicate this, which is the same, and place it here in the junction of the flow. And then I'll link these. And this is it. I'll push play again. Resolution now is working. Great. Perfect. Awesome. So there we go. We worked it out. We've created a few more nodes here, but you know, this is the solution for us. So I can do the same thing for the three of them actually. The instructions is done. Let's do the about one, and we'll be back after I speed up the process. Right, so we're back. I did the same procedure with the other menus so we can check that they're moving normally, independently of being closed. And now when it opens, we don't see any bug anymore. Okay, cool. However, I have the same problem with the exit button here. So we just need to create a condition for exit, but just for this button, okay? So I'll do the same thing for the exit button. It's the same procedure. We'll do this one together actually. Okay, so I'll just drag this here. Cool. And we've also created a condition for about pressed, remember? Okay, it's working. Perfect. So if the resolution button is pressed, it will go to true, right? It will go here. And it will work normally and move 120 pixels to the right. But if it's not pressed, it will move the way it was doing previously, right? Okay. So now what should we do? Well, we'll add another condition to this to help it. For instance, the button was pressed and it stopped then at this point. The question is if the menu is open or not. That's the question. So if it's true, it will execute it. If it's false, then it will go here. So before that, I need to create another condition, which is on the about menu. And I'll create one for it too. Okay, so it will check that this is false. So it will move on to the next if it's false, and then there'll be another condition. So is the about menu pressed? Yes or no? If it is, it will move here. If it's not, it will move down. Okay, so we have to create another condition here. So what is it? If the about button is pressed, okay. First thing, I'll clone it, duplicate it. So the condition is false. So if none of the two menus are open, okay, it's going to remain in its initial condition from when we created the button. And it will then move 20 pixels to the right, but nothing changes in the y-axis. Perfect. So now when the about is pressed, I should see this position. I'll see which position I've set up here. I'll move 40 pixels down. So let's do that. I'll include 40 in the Y. Okay. And there we go. And play remains the same. Okay. For all three cases, it will play the audio for the button as well. Cool. So now I just need to click here and also add the unhovered. I need to do it in unhovered too. So this off is false. True moves here. This is duplicated. I'll link my button. False. So on false, it's set at the initial position, which is 0 and 0. But if the button is pressed, it should go back to position 0, 40, right? So let's push play and see how it goes. Okay, cool, let's see. Okay, so they're all normal. Resolution's working properly. Cool. Okay, so if about is on, you see that here we have a bit of a problem here. So let's sort that out. First, let's see about if that's open. So exit remains the same. They all work the same. Okay, so this part of the button, yeah, so this part here is working fine. That opens. So press that button. The website is shown above. Now, why is that? Well, that's because its initial position is here. So I'm not telling it to slide down, which I need to adjust. So I can sort that out in two possible ways. I can either create an additional condition, or the easier option, when I push this button, I can choose to close the resolution buttons. So then it'll be okay because it will show up with nothing blocking it. So let's do that. Let's see how we can do that. Let's go back and just analyze it. So which one is working? As I press the about button, as the resolution one is open. Okay, so it's when I click about. So when I do it, I need resolution to close down before. Let's bring in what I said to the blueprint. So when I click the button, when I click the button, I must first create, let's have a look. I need to create a condition here. Okay. So let's work out. So we need to analyze if the resolution button's open or closed. So create a branch. So how do I check this? With the variable that I create, right? So I check if it's open or closed. Okay, so it's open. If it's open, it's true. If it's open, it should close the menu before running the rest. So what should I do here? Well, if it's closed, I should go and do a close resolution menu. So it's closed. If it's closed, it should move here. If it's false, then I don't need to go through there. I can just come here, right? So I've clicked it, it checks if it's open. If it is, it closes it, and then it executes the opening function. If it's closed, then it goes to false and then executes it too, right? So let's see if it's working. So it will open it since this is what we need, and I'll click about. It's closed now. Do you see it? But there's a little glitch. Let's check why. I'll open this again and have a look. Okay, right. So, why is it a bit messed up? Let me explain why. Let's go back. So I opened it, right? And now I'll open the about button. It closed, and exit got lost a bit, didn't it? It's kind of like moving up. Now we'll check why later, but I want to open this one now, and it made the animation run in reverse. So why are we getting this problem? So let's just check here in the resolution. So I pressed it once, so it opened. It's on A here, but then I pushed the about button and it closed. However, my flip-flop doesn't get that. I think it thinks it's still on A. So if I click resolution again, it tries to close it and it executes what the event is telling it to execute. So the animation runs in reverse and the rest follows. So it gets lost here. So if I'm not in the usual flip-flop, it gets lost. So this is a problem that we get with flip-flop. So instead of using it, I'll use a conditional variable here as well. And I'll check if it's opened or closed and then execute it. It's safer and more reliable. We did point this out a couple of videos ago, didn't we? So let's do that. Let's delete the flip-flop and add a branch here. Okay, there we go. And what's the condition? If the menu is open or closed. Okay, so if it's open, it will close. And if it's closed, it will be false, and then it will open. Right. Now let's test it. So I've opened it, clicked about. Okay, close it again, try again, it opened. So now it will work as it's supposed to. Now it analyzed the menu condition and it didn't just switch them all up. Okay, so that's working better. So flip-flop is like that. It's a simple button, but those events will never be shown anywhere. If the same event could be activated by two different buttons or conditionals, then they would conflict with, and we would get that problem. So the same principles will work for instructions as well. Instructions only open or close depending on which menu is open. So we can actually keep the flip-flop working here. That's okay. But as for about, we'll get the same problem, but with this button specifically. For example, if the about button is opened, and if I click resolution, my about button gets all messed up, right? So what will we have to do? Well, we'll have to do the opposite. If about is opened, as I click resolution, about should close first. Make sense? I understand it may appear pretty complex, but it's actually quite simple reasoning. The principle is that the principle that we must follow is this workflow with our conditionals. First, let's organize everything here in the resolution section. So my resolution verifies if the resolution menu is open, just checks it to be sure, okay? And then it executes the function of opening or closing. Before that, I'll need to check if my about menu is open. Okay, so if it's open, we have to close it before opening the resolution. I'm sure you're getting it now, right? So I'll check, is the about menu open? If it is, we need to close it in advance of opening anything else. Okay, so close about menu, so it will close the about menu, and then it comes to this branch here, the next conditional, and it will check and execute the command, okay, the event. So if it's false, it will go through to here. Okay, so that's what we'll do. And yeah, pretty good. So I'll click the resolution button. Okay, if the about button is open, it'll close it, etc., etc. And it's just checking if things are open before they display themselves. So we'll close it before you open in something else. So we sorted the resolution button. Let's check about. First, it will check if resolution is open. It is. If it is open, it will close. Great. So now we have the flip-flop that we will change to. Let's go here. So check if it's open. About button we need here. Is it open? It is. So close it first, please. That's what we were telling it to do. Okay. And then we plug that into there to open it. Perfect. So now the resolution at this point is open. If it's open, close it. If it's closed, don't do anything. Just move forward, okay? Compile, save. So let's check this in practice. So let's play. So I click this, it opens, click about, it closes and opens. The exit button is still not quite right. So let's check what that is. But before that, let's just see how we worked. So resolution is open, it will close and open about. If about is open, it closes and opens resolution. Okay, so we can see that they're overlapping here and they're going too fast. So it's a good idea to install a delay button between these. Okay, that might help us in this situation. So we'll do that and then we'll check the error of the exit button. Okay, so let's suppose that it's the, this is the resolution, isn't it? Yep. So I've clicked it, I've checked if it's, if about is open. If it is, it's going to close it, but it needs some time for it to close. So let's do 0.25 in the delay. We'll put here just before it runs the other branch. Okay. So then it will wait until one button closes before opening the other, and then there won't be an overlap, right? So we've got that 0.25 second delay. And I'll do the same in our about button. Okay, so before executing this node here, I'll add a delay just as I did before. The same delay of 0.25. Why do we use delay? Because it's the animation duration we use in our timeline, okay? That's why we use the 0.25. Okay, I think 0.5 might be too long. So 0.25 is what we're using across the board here. So that's okay. Let's check our exit button now. So here we have the resolution. If it's open, it's true, and it will move to the right. Okay, so it will do that because of the menu that's open. If it's false, it will check the about button to see if it's open or closed. If it's open, it will move 20 and 40 pixels down. And this, I believe, is the error here. Okay, so we had to link these. That's why we were getting that error. That should work now. Let's check it. So if it's opened, there we go. So that was a good way of debugging it, wasn't it? Now we found the error and everything else should work. So resolution works. If I click here on the about, it closes. And okay, so it closes things before it opens new things. You can see that the exit button is sliding up along with it as well. Okay, and the animation is working nice. So it only just needs a delay node here. So let's add that in, just so it's just right as we need it. For this, when I click the about button, we need to find where to put the delay. I think just here. So it's going to close the about menu. Okay, so let's have a look. So this is the about, and this here is the delay of 0.25. So we need to add that in here as well. So I've left some room so we can make space for it. Let's drag out and put delay 0.25. Since it's a short animation, it won't last too long, but it just makes things a little bit cleaner, or much more cleaner. Compile and let's play. Okay, cool, nice. You can see that this takes some fine tuning, but it's worth the effort, okay? Nice, it's working nice now and it's not clashing. So this is all good. So the animation part and the designing of the interface is quite complex, isn't it? But we can get there, and now it's all working properly. Okay, now you might find you still need to add the click in sound as well, and I want to add a sound that when I click an option it will sound different. Okay, so we already got that in our project. First things first though, as soon as I click it, let's see where to put it. So this is important, understanding where do we want to put this sound. Let's start with the start button. Okay, so I haven't done anything to it, I just create the button now actually. So let's put it in here. So we need the start button, there we go, and on clicked it's down here, so we'll just drag it up to the right area. So when I click it, I want it to play a 2D sound. There we go. And then we just select the sound from our content browser. Okay, and we've got all the other features here. So let's put it in, which is click sound. I've already imported that. And I'll create a variable to call it click sound. Okay, so that's the click. And we can just, you see that? So that's the sound that we're using. The start is done. Let's include it with the resolution as well. So I can copy it. Let me copy that and include it over here as well. Our blueprint's definitely getting bigger now, isn't it? Okay, so put that in place and we'll link them up. Let's see how it sounds before doing the rest. Did you hear it? Okay, so every time I click, there you go, it plays the sound. I think this is a little too loud, so let's reduce the volume a bit because it's too noisy. So let's start this at 0.5. Ooh, still too loud. Go 0.2. Okay, that's better. So I'll do this to all the other nodes, set them to 0.2, and I'll add this to all of the buttons. We'll fast forward this part of the video so it doesn't take too long. So we're back and I've added the sound to the start button, which we did together. We did it to the resolution, but I've now added it to the instructions and the about button as well, which is the one about the website. Okay. And the website is actually also a button too. So I've added it there and to the exit button. So let's check. Okay, there we go. So it's all working. And when we click on them, nice. Okay, cool. But the checkbox doesn't have it. You may have noticed. Okay, but everything else does. Nice. So that's it then. In this class, we've made these button adjustments. The aesthetic part is all done. It looks good. Now though, we just need to add the functions for all these buttons because we want them to do something, don't we? Yeah. So we need to decide how to do that. Okay, except for the instructions button, that one's all sorted. Okay, because it's only going to show us the instructions image. The rest of them need to be able to do specific things. So that's it for this class. We'll show you in the next class how to do that.